Hi, I'm Sarah, a 30-year-old department head at a company where ambition is as common as a morning coffee. My world is a balancing act between being a mother to my bubbly 5-year-old, Lily, and navigating the corporate labyrinth. It wasn't always like this, though. I met my husband, Mark, at this very company. We were both fresh recruits then, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I remember our first meeting like it was yesterday. I was struggling with the copier, and Mark walked over with a smirk. "Need a hand with that?" he asked, his tone teasing. I rolled my eyes, but smiled. "I've got it, but thanks." That was the beginning of everything: work, love, marriage, and then Lily came along. I took maternity leave, relishing the time with her. When I returned to work, I found Mark had climbed up the ranks to a department head. One evening, at home, I was going through some work documents when Mark glanced over. "You're really going all in with this, huh?" he said, a slight edge to his voice. I looked up, a bit taken aback. "Well, yeah, I love my job, you know that." Mark shrugged, but his tone was laced with something I couldn't quite place. "Sure, but don't you think Lily needs you more right now?" I sighed, a familiar debate on the horizon. "Mark, we've been over this. Lily is doing great, and my mom helps out a lot. I can't just give up on my career." The conversation shifted to more mundane topics, but his words lingered in my mind. It wasn't the first time he'd hinted at his discomfort with my career aspirations. A year later, I too became a department head, a fact that seemed to unsettle Mark more than he let on. His once playful banter at home took on a sharper tone. One day, as I was prepping for a big presentation, Mark walked into the room, his expression hard to read. "So, you're presenting to the board today, huh?" I nodded, my focus on the notes in front of me. "Yeah, it's a big opportunity for me." Mark leaned against the doorframe, his voice tinged with sarcasm. "Just don't forget who you're coming home to. Don't let this job take over your life, Sarah." I stopped, looking up at him. "Mark, what's that supposed to mean?" He waved his hand dismissively. "Nothing, just, be careful, that's all." But it was clear it meant more than nothing. Mark's attitude towards my career had shifted from supportive to something more resentful, something I never expected from the man I fell in love with. It was a Wednesday evening, the kind where the sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, creating a serene backdrop that sharply contrasted the growing tension indoors. We were seated at the dinner table, Lily's chatter about her day at school providing a brief respite from the unspoken conflict between Mark and me. "Mommy, look." Lily beamed, holding up a crayon drawing of a woman in a suit. "I drew you at work. You look like a superhero." I smiled, genuinely touched. "That's amazing, sweetie. Thank you." Mark looked at the drawing over Lily's shoulder, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "That's nice, Lily. But remember, the most important job for Mommy is here, with us." I felt my smile falter, a familiar irritation bubbling up. "Mark, I think it's important for Lily to know that her mom can have a career and be there for her family," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. He let out a sigh, setting down his fork. "I just think you're stretching yourself too thin, Sarah. Lily needs you." I was about to retort when the phone rang, cutting through the mounting tension. Mark answered, and I immediately recognized the shrill, insistent tone on the other end. It was his mother, Helen. "Hello, Mom." "Yes, she's here." "I know, but..." Mark's voice was a mix of resignation and frustration. I strained to hear Helen's words. "Mark, you need to put your foot down. Tell Sarah to slow down with her work. It's not good for Lily, or for your marriage." Mark's response was quieter, but the words stung nonetheless. "I agree, Mom. I've tried talking to her, but she won't listen." "Yes, I'll try again." He hung up, and I couldn't hold back any longer. "Was that your mother? Telling you to get me to quit my job?" Mark ran a hand through his hair, looking exasperated. "She's just worried, Sarah. She thinks you should focus more on Lily and less on work." And I can't say I disagree. I clenched my fists under the table, feeling a surge of anger. So, now your mother is dictating how I should handle my career? Mark, I'm not just Lily's mother or your wife. I have my own aspirations. He stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. And what about my aspirations, Sarah? Isn't it enough that I'm working hard to provide for us? I stood up too, my heart racing. I'm also providing, Mark. Why can't you understand that I'm capable of managing both my career and my family? He shook his head, a bitter laugh escaping him. Because every time you manage both, it seems like our family gets the short end of the stick. With that, he stormed out of the kitchen, leaving me standing there, fuming and frustrated. The tension at home had reached a boiling point, but little did I know that work was about to throw another curveball into the mix. It was a Monday morning, crisp and clear, when the director of our company called Mark and me into his office. The air was thick with anticipation as we sat across from him. Sarah, Mark, I'm sure you're both aware of the upcoming vacancy for the operations manager position, he began, his eyes shifting between us. Mark nodded eagerly, a gleam in his eye. Yes, we've heard about it. The director leaned back in his chair, his gaze thoughtful. Well, I wanted to talk to you both, because you're on the shortlist for the promotion. It's a tough decision, you're both highly qualified. I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension, but before I could respond, Mark jumped in. That's great to hear, but I think it's clear who the better fit is. I mean, with my experience. I cut him off, my voice firm. Actually, I believe I have just as much to offer for the role. My recent projects have significantly boosted our department's performance. The director raised his hand, signaling us to calm down. I appreciate both of your inputs. We'll make a decision in the coming weeks. Best of luck to you both. As we left the office, Mark was visibly fuming. Once we were alone in the elevator, he turned to me, his voice low and harsh. Sarah, you should step down from this. I deserve this promotion. I looked at him, incredulous. Why should I step down? I've worked just as hard as you, if not harder. Mark's jaw clenched. Because I'm the man of the house. It's my responsibility to be the provider. I shook my head, disbelief washing over me. Mark, this isn't the 1950s. I have every right to pursue this promotion. We exited the elevator, our steps echoing in the empty hallway. Mark stopped, turning to me. This isn't just about the job, Sarah, it's about our family. You're already stretched thin. Think about Lily. I felt a surge of frustration. I am thinking about Lily. I want to show her that her mother is strong and capable. That she can achieve anything she sets her mind to. Mark scoffed. Fine, but if you get this promotion, don't expect things to stay the same between us. The threat in his tone was clear, and it sent a chill down my spine. This wasn't just a competition for a job, it was a battle for respect and equality in our relationship. That evening, the Cold War at home continued. Mark's mother called, her words laced with disappointment. Sarah, I can't believe you're considering this. You need to let Mark have this opportunity. It's the right thing to do for your family. Her words only fueled my determination. Helen, with all due respect, this is a decision for Mark and me to make. I won't step down just because Mark thinks he's entitled to the position. After hanging up, I looked over at Lily, who was playing with her dolls, oblivious to the storm around her. I whispered a promise to myself, no matter what, I would stand my ground. This promotion was more than just a job, it was a statement, a declaration that I, too, deserved recognition and respect. The stress of the ongoing promotion battle and the tension at home with Mark began taking a toll on me. I started feeling unusually fatigued, my mind wasn't as sharp, and I struggled to concentrate. One morning, I was in the kitchen, trying to prepare breakfast, but everything seemed like an uphill task. Lily, can you please get your backpack? We're running late. I called out, my voice lacking its usual energy. Lily, ever so observant, looked at me with concern in her little eyes. "Mommy, are you okay? You look really tired." I forced a smile, not wanting to worry her. "I'm fine, honey. Just a bit tired, that's all." At work, things weren't much better. My performance was slipping, and it didn't go unnoticed. My boss, Mr. Thompson, called me into his office one afternoon. His expression was a mix of concern and professionalism. "Sarah, is everything all right? Your work lately has been, well, it's not up to your usual standard," Mr. Thompson inquired, his tone gentle yet firm. I sighed, feeling a wave of embarrassment and frustration. "I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson. I've just not been feeling well lately. I'm not sure what's wrong." He leaned back in his chair, considering my words. "I understand, but you know this is a critical time for the department, especially with the promotion on the line. Do you think you can handle your responsibilities?" I nodded, though doubt crept in. "Yes, I can. I just need a couple of days to get back on track." As I left his office, my mind was racing with worry. What if this illness cost me the promotion? What if Mark was right about me stretching myself too thin? When I got home, Mark was there, and his reaction to my state was the opposite of what I needed. "You look terrible, Sarah. Maybe this is a sign that you should step down from the promotion race." His words stung, and I snapped. "No, Mark. I'm just not feeling well. This has nothing to do with the job." He shrugged, his voice laced with a hint of satisfaction. "Well, if you can't handle the pressure, maybe it's for the best." I turned away, feeling a mix of anger and helplessness. I decided to take a few days off without pay, hoping that rest would help me recuperate. However, rest didn't seem to make things better. My condition worsened, and I found myself unable to shake off the fatigue and brain fog. I was lying on the couch one evening, Lily sitting beside me, coloring. "Mommy, don't be sad. I'll make you feel better," she said, her voice full of childlike innocence. I smiled weakly. "Thank you, sweetie. Mommy just needs to rest a bit." But as the days passed, my health didn't improve. I began to worry that something more serious was amiss. I was about to learn that my condition was no mere coincidence, and the truth behind it would shake me to my core. As my health continued to decline, I found myself spending more time at home, curled up on the sofa with a blanket, feeling a weariness I couldn't shake off. Lily, my sweet daughter, tried her best to cheer me up, her innocent attempts at playing doctor both heartwarming and heartbreaking. One evening, as I lay there, Lily came up to me with a serious look on her face. "Mommy, I'm going to make you all better," she declared, clutching her toy stethoscope. I managed a weak smile. "Oh, is Dr. Lily in the house?" "Yes, and I have just the thing for you," she said, running off to her room. She returned with a small, colorful pill in her hand. "Here, Mommy, this will make you feel better. Daddy said it's a special vitamin." I froze, the pill between her tiny fingers sending alarm bells ringing in my head. "Lily, where did you get this from?" She looked up at me, her eyes wide and innocent. "From Daddy's room. He gives me one every day to put them in your food. He said it's a secret game." My heart pounded in my chest. "Lily, sweetie, this is very important. Can you show me where you got these pills from?" She nodded, taking my hand and leading me to Mark's bedside drawer. Inside, I found a small bottle of pills, none of which I recognized. I hugged her tightly, a sense of dread washing over me. Mark's recent behavior, my inexplicable symptoms, and now this discovery. It was too much to be a coincidence. "Lily, thank you for showing me this. You're such a good girl," I said, masking the turmoil inside me. After tucking her into bed, I took the bottle of pills and locked myself in the bathroom. My hands trembled as I Googled the imprints on the pills. The search results sent a chill down my spine. They were a strong prescription medication, not vitamins. I sat on the bathroom floor, the reality sinking in. Mark had been giving me these pills, under the guise of a game with our daughter. But why? What was he trying to achieve? The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, forming a picture so sinister it was hard to comprehend. This wasn't just about the promotion or our marital issues. This was something much darker. Armed with the bottle of pills and a heart full of dread, I knew I needed concrete evidence before confronting Mark. The next morning, I made an appointment with my doctor under the guise of a routine checkup. Sitting in the doctor's office, I presented the pills. "Doctor, I found these and I think I've been unknowingly taking them. Can you tell me what they are?" The doctor examined the pills closely, his brow furrowing. "Sarah, these are strong meds, not something to be taken lightly. How have you been feeling lately?" I recounted my symptoms, the fatigue, the confusion, the general sense of unwellness. He nodded, jotting down notes. "We'll do some blood work right away. If these pills are causing your symptoms, it'll show up in the tests." A couple of days later, the test results confirmed my worst fears. The medication was in my system, and it was causing my symptoms. I felt a mix of relief and horror, relief that I wasn't imagining things, and horror at the thought of my husband's betrayal. I looked at the doctor, a sense of dread washing over me. "Can these be bought over the counter? Without a prescription?" He shook his head, his expression grave. "Absolutely not. These are strong prescription medications. They can be quite harmful if taken without proper medical supervision." His words hit me like a ton of bricks. This wasn't just Mark acting alone, his mother, Helen, a pharmacist, must be involved too. It was a chilling realization. The two people I had trusted were conspiring against me, using their knowledge and access to harm me. I thanked the doctor and left his office, my mind racing. The drive home was a blur. I was in a state of shock, struggling to comprehend the depth of the betrayal. Mark and his mother had crossed a line that was unfathomable. At home, I sat in the living room, the test results and the bottle of pills on the coffee table in front of me. The pieces of the puzzle were coming together, forming a picture so sinister, so unthinkable, that it shook me to my core. I needed to confront them, to face them with the truth. But first, I had to ensure Lily's safety. I called my mother, asking her to take Lily for a few days, making up an excuse about needing some time to deal with work stress. Once Lily was safely with my mother, I planned the confrontation. I needed them to admit what they had done. I needed to know why. How could they betray me like this? How could they use Lily, an innocent child, in their twisted game? The next day, I called Mark and Helen, asking to meet at Helen's house. My voice was calm, but inside, I was a maelstrom of emotions, anger, betrayal, but above all, determination. I was going to expose their deceit and protect myself and my daughter, no matter what it took. The drive to Helen's house was one of the longest of my life, each mile stretching out like an eternity. As I parked outside, my heart was pounding, my hands gripping the steering wheel a little too tightly. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the car, the bottle of pills and the medical report in my bag. I knocked on the door, and Helen opened it, a fake smile plastered on her face. "Sarah, dear, come in. What's this about?" Mark was sitting in the living room, his expression a mix of worry and defiance. I didn't waste any time. "Mark, Helen, I know about the pills," I started, my voice firm, despite the storm of emotions inside me. Mark's face turned ashen. "What pills, Sarah?" I pulled out the bottle and slammed it on the coffee table. "These pills. The ones you've been giving me through Lily. And my test results show they're the reason for my illness." Helen's eyes widened, and her facade crumbled. "Sarah, this is a misunderstanding. Why would we do something like that?" Her voice was shaking, but her words lacked sincerity. "It's no misunderstanding, Helen. These are prescription drugs. And being a pharmacist, you would have easy access to them." Mark stood up, his hands clenched into fists. Sarah, you're blowing this out of proportion. I was just trying to level the playing field for the promotion. I stared at him in disbelief. By poisoning me? Using our daughter in your scheme? Helen chimed in, her voice now laced with desperation. Mark was just worried about his career. He didn't mean any harm. I shook my head, anger surging through me. That's not an excuse. You both endangered my life, and you used Lily to do it. That's unforgivable. Mark's face was a picture of guilt now. Sarah, I'm sorry. I didn't think it would go this far. Helen started to sob, her hands trembling. Please, Sarah, we can work this out. Don't destroy our family over this. But it was too late for apologies. This is beyond working out, Helen. I'm taking this to the police. What you did is criminal. Mark reached out, his voice filled with panic. Sarah, wait. Think about what this will do to Lily. I pulled away, my decision firm. I am thinking about Lily. That's why I can't let you get away with this. She deserves better. Leaving them in their stunned silence, I walked out of the house, my mind made up. I had to protect my daughter and myself from any further harm. After leaving Helen's house, my mind was made up. It was a difficult decision, but I knew it was the only way to protect myself and Lily. I went straight to the police station, my hands trembling as I held the evidence tightly. The investigation moved quickly. Mark and Helen were brought in for questioning, and the evidence against them was overwhelming. They were charged with poisoning, and the trial was set. The day of the trial was tense. I sat in the courtroom, my hands clenched in my lap as the prosecutor laid out the case against Mark and Helen. Mark's face was ashen, and Helen looked like she was on the verge of tears. When it was time for my testimony, I took the stand, my voice steady as I recounted the events. I trusted them, and they betrayed me. They used my daughter to poison me. Mark's lawyer tried to discredit me, suggesting that I was fabricating the story for personal gain. But the evidence spoke for itself. In the end, the jury found them guilty. Mark and Helen were sentenced to prison for their actions. As the judge pronounced the sentence, I felt a mix of relief and sorrow. Relief that justice was served, but sorrow for what my family had become. After the trial, I focused on rebuilding my life. I was promoted to the vacant position at work, a bittersweet victory. Lily and I moved into a new home, starting fresh. One evening, as I tucked Lily into bed in our new home, she looked up at me with her big, innocent eyes. Mommy, are you happy now? I kissed her forehead, feeling a sense of peace. Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be just fine. And we were. Despite the pain and betrayal, we found strength in each other. I showed Lily that we could overcome any obstacle, and that truth and justice would always prevail. As I turned off the light and left her room, I knew that this was just the beginning of our new journey. A journey of healing, of new opportunities, and most importantly, of hope. Our future was uncertain, but I was determined to make it bright, for both Lily and myself.